It's like, all right, Luke here. I was thinking we could open this episode with some, different music. I don't like the themes. I think it's a little bit too upbeat for this episode.
What do you want?
Uh, I don't know. You got anything somber? More melodic. Maybe on the piano.
What if we try putting in the Hulk?
That's perfect. Yeah, the '70s Hulk theme. Yeah, that's a great, somber piece.
Got a couple here. I got a file called Hulk Somber.
Yeah, somber. That's the exact word I was looking for. Okay, all right, cue it up. The hell was that?
Too many horns.
Fuck the horns, he's sobbing. This should be labeled Hulk sobbing, not Hulk somber.
It's what the file's called.
All right, whatever. We'll put a pin in that. Welcome to It's Always Sunny in Hollywood. And this time it actually is, kind of in Hollywood. I'm your host, Red.
I'm Lugia. Hi.
My name is Patty, and Always Sunny in Hollywood. I think you mean Always Somber in Hollywood.
Yeah, this movie actually isn't really that somber. It is though kind of like it is sort
I
of
don't know.
about like
I was just running with the
melancholy
bit.
romance. Yeah, I know. Yeah, today we're going to be talking about Modern Romance by Albert Brooks. But till that, we got a couple news. A lot of people died. Donald Sutherland passed away. He's a pretty prolific actor. We've all seen, something he's been in. I think his most significant role, like of late, has been the President Snow in the Hunger Game trilogy. But yeah, he passed away. He's also Kiefer Sutherland's dad, so if you're familiar with him, which I'm sure you are. I know him best from Invasion of the Body Snatchers. But yeah, rest in peace, Donald Sutherland. He had a very prolific career. In fact, it's so prolific, I'm almost certain that we're gonna talk about him one day on here. We also got Bill Cobbs. If you don't know who Bill Cobbs is, he's also an actor. These are all pretty much actors. He's probably he was Reginald in Night at the Museum. That's something you guys probably have seen. And he's also had guest appearances, a lot of TV shows. Walker, Texas Ranger, The Sopranos. Robert Town is probably one of the more interesting ones because we talked about Chinatown not too long ago. Robert Town was the guy who wrote it, so he sadly passed away. Rest in peace, Robert. And then of course you got the legendary Shelley Duvall. This one's probably the most well-known death we're going to be talking about. She's in Annie Hall, which is actually basically the movie. I was like deciding if we should watch like Annie Hall or Modern Romance for this episode. And she also starred in well, she's probably best known for starring in The Shining, but she also starred in a bunch of Robert Altman movies like Three Women, McCabe, Mrs. Miller, Popeye, Nashville. So she's kind of like a Robert Altman regular. I feel like most people probably know her best for The Shining and Popeye, because many people consider her like perfect. In fact, the song she sings in that, "She Needs Me," was in Punch Drunk Love. And the last significant death was Richard Simmons, who's the fitness guy, big public figure in the '80s, known for his like aerobics videos, and he was often parodied and frequently a guest on late night TV. He's much more of like a weirder figure specific to the '80s, but still somewhat of a pop culture icon. So rest in peace. Only other bit of news I got is the Knuckles show apparently used AI for character design, and there's a lot of controversy there. A lot of controversy with that show in general because I know they had like some Israel Palestine stuff there and
For which
some other
characters?
stuff. I think like some of like the villain characters, they used AI to generate their character designs.
So they just put a prompt in, and then they just took the result from what they generated.
Yeah, so here are the agents in the Knuckles show. This is the concept art. Secret agent villain characters as well.
Okay.
Show's getting a lot of controversies.
I mean, it already got
I'll be
some
honest,
controversy when it came out. I think this is just adds more fuel to the fire.
I'm not that surprised. I mean, like, I know people like the Sonic movies, but there was always kind of like this kind of like blatant kind of corporate soullessness to them. just with like the initial design, then like just immediately doing a redesign just to like which was like a good idea, but like it does kind of like reek of like oh just trying to like pander to the audience and then like all the product placement and whatnot. It was like it's kind of like a little bit of a hacky movie series, so I'm not that surprised, but like it's still a
Maybe,
shame.
but I don't know. The stuff with Olive Garden still makes me laugh. I can't help it.
I've already made it clear that like I'm not really a fan of those movies, so like that's besides the point. But yeah, that's a shame. Hopefully they don't use AI for the third film. I heard that apparently they're not like using live and learn for that, which is
They're
annoying. But
not. Oh,
well,
that's a shame.
for some reason these people have something against like using the game music or something. I don't know.
I don't really know how to transition into this, so I'm not even gonna try. The last decade or so, I have been hearing rumors and seeing articles about a fifth Shrek movie, as I'm sure you guys probably have. Well, we got a pretty big bit of news this past week about it. A release date, and it's coming out in like less than 2 years. It releases on March 1st, 2026. And I am not sure how to feel about a Shrek 5.
I don't even know if a Shrek 5 is really necessary by this point. I don't remember much about Forever After, but I thought that was supposed to
Considering
be the
it's
end of the series.
it's weird considering that by the time this comes out, it'll be 16 years since Shrek 4, and
Wait,
that's
what?
yeah. I
Wait,
can't
did
think
it
of
come out?
another animated.
It came out in
I can't
2010?
think of another. Yeah, I can't think of another theatrical animated franchise that had a sequel with that big of a gap between them.
Oh my god, dude, you just made me feel
Toy
so
Story 4 was a
fucking
pretty big
old.
gap, to be fair. Toy Story
That
4 is
was
what, like
9
9 years?
years.
Yeah, that's
9
still a
years. Yeah,
lot.
this is
This
Yeah,
is
16. That's nearly double.
good
that's
lord. I mean, I thought
Not
Shrek 4 was
including
like
the
mid
Puss in Boots movies.
2010s.
No, that was 2010. I was right smack at the beginning of the 2010s.
Fuck. When was Shrek 3? 2007?
2007.
Okay.
I don't know. Is Shrek? I've always been confused. Is Shrek 5 something people actually want, or is it something they ironically want,
I don't
or is it
know.
I
a
don't
bit of
even know if
both?
people really want another Shrek movie because people are really bitter about the third one, and I'm not sure what the general consensus is on the fourth one. They only just like the first
The
two movies.
the fourth one was initially mixed just because like a lot of people hadn't seen it, but now it's kind of gotten a cult following. So 4 is actually pretty decently popular.
Okay.
I think people unironically started wanting Shrek 5 once Puss in Boots 2 came out, and they're like, if that was good, maybe they still got, the chops to make, this good. I do wonder what like the story would possibly be. I guess like Shrek's kids will like have aged up, so maybe like I don't know, maybe they have like a magic mirror, like a tiny little magic mirror. It's like a parody of an iPhone or some shit. It's like Fiona, the kids are on TikTok too much. It'd be like Wreck-It Ralph 2, where it's just like internet shit. It's like, oh, that'd be so fucking bad.
Isn't that why
Never
people hate
mind.
that movie?
Yeah, yeah, no, that'd be so fucking bad. God, what else? Apparently they're making like a donkey spinoff too.
Do we know what it's called, or just that it's a thing?
Nope.
They're just making a donkey movie.
It's gonna happen at some point. But
Yeah, let's see.
I really don't know how to feel about Shrek 5. And
Mela,
like I don't
let's
really have
see.
anything to go off of. They're bringing back the original cast, which is cool, but we don't know anything about the story or anything, so I can't really say anything just yet. I'm just
Yeah, I'm
mm,
more hesitant than most people because here's the thing: a lot of people don't realize this, but DreamWorks like basically merged with Illumination. Like Illumination and DreamWorks have the same parent company, and the CEO of Illumination,
just Meladandri, yeah, he oversees both companies.
yeah, and he specifically said that like he's going to make this movie like honor the core elements in a similar vein to the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and I didn't like that movie. I feel like it was very superficial. So I'm like, I don't know, like I'm thinking about like Kung Fu Panda 4 and how like that had like a bunch of like it's like, look, we brought all the villains back, and it's like it's kind of like very superficial, kind of homages and stuff. And it's like I feel like a lot of stuff kind of does that now. Where it's like, oh, bring back like the old villains, maybe some superficial like references. Like, sometimes it works, like, the new SpongeBob stuff brings back, like, older, like, one-off characters, but, like, the reason, like, it works with SpongeBob is because it's, like, they made the show, like, more storyboard driven again, so it's, like, all, like, the individual, like, artists are, like, all putting their own kind of, like, individual quirk, even if, like, the premise is a little bit hacky. I don't know about this because like, films tend to be a little bit more controlled. SpongeBob is, like, TV, like, longevity is honestly kind of freedom, and I feel like a lot of companies, don't, a lot of like TV shows don't take advantage of that. Like The Simpsons can really do whatever the fuck it wants, but like they're kind of like shit for some reason. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. The
Lugia,
direct.
what do you have to say about a Shrek 5?
I'll just have to wait and see how it turns out. I mean, I don't really have any expectations for it. I didn't really care for Shrek after the third movie, so if it
I
happens, it
recommend.
happens.
I'd recommend Shrek 4. Honestly, like you can watch Shrek 1, 2, and 4, and like it would work as a trilogy. Let's see, who is the director? Walt Dorm. He directed the whole Trolls trilogy. All right.
The trilogy?
Yeah. So, have you guys seen any of the Trolls movies?
No.
I've seen the
I know that
first two. I didn't see the third one.
I think I saw the first one like babysitting, and there was like I tried really hard not to laugh when he was like killing killed my grandma. It's like it's so stupid and they play it sincerely. But like, yeah, I don't know. That was like a fine kids movie, but it's not like really something that appeals to me. How was the sequel? Was it like better?
I don't remember much of the first movie. I remember World Tour was okay, so it's probably about the same level.
K-pop trolls implies existence of troll Korea. That's
I don't
cool.
know. It
I was
it
just
just
looking up like a
amuses
review of it.
it just amuses me that Trolls World Tour unironically is an important movie to the history of cinema now.
Because of
Is some
the
like pandemic
pandemic.
shit.
Because of how it broke the theatrical release window. It
All
was
right.
released in theaters and on streaming on demand, which helped movies during the pandemic. That's just amusing to me. It's like Trolls 2 of all movies.
I got this friend who only watches like really like pretentious like snobby like foreign films and also like kids movies because he has a kid. And for some reason like he really likes the Trolls movies. He's like these are good kids movies. This is my child enjoys them. 10 out of 10. I guess that's it for the news. Modern
The
Romance.
modern romance.
So, Modern Romance was directed by Albert Brooks, who is pretty well known. I guess I can't say he's well known. He's like I would consider him one of the most like underrated comedians out there. Like he's in like a lot of stuff that people know, but like he's also I feel like he's never really gotten his due, his appreciation. Like there's Woody Allen, who's like this art beloved like art guy, and then there's like Billy Crystal, who's like got a similar shtick to Woody Allen, but he's like much more like mainstream. And then you got like Albert Brooks, who's kind of in the middle, where like he's like got like artistic chops that people respect. You know, he's done dramatic films and comedic films and TV shows and stuff. But like he for some reason just like is stuck kind of like in the character actor realm, where like he's kind of like very respected, got a very respectable career, but he's not like all that like famous. The most like well-known movies he's in is well, Taxi Driver is probably like the most well-known film. He's the dude that like he's kind of like the romantic rival to Travis Bickle. He's like the dude. He's kind of like that obnoxious dude. So yeah, he's kind of like the obnoxious dude that like Travis Bickle is like you remember that guy, right? Like
Yeah.
he works with the love interest in that film. So that's probably like his most like well-known dramatic. Actually, no, it's not his most well-known dramatic role. I forgot he played the villain in Drive. He's the dude that slashes like Bryan Cranston's wrists open. It was like, oh wait, yeah, okay. Drive is probably his best known movie. He also got an Oscar nomination for Broadcast News, which is a comedy directed by James L. Brooks, who is one of the creators of The Simpsons. And I mentioned that because what I think what mainstream audiences actually best known him for is The Simpsons. He is one of the most prolific guest stars in The Simpsons.
He was Russ
He
Cargill in the movie.
he was Russ Cargill. He played Hank Scorpio, who's often considered to be like the best like one-off character in the show. In fact, the reason he played Russ Cargill in the movie is because they originally wanted it to be more of a Bond pastiche with Hank Scorpio being the villain again. Um, but they ultimately decided that to make it like work more as a standalone, to not have too many like deep cut homages. So yeah, and he plays the main character of Finding Nemo, Marlin. And I'm gonna be honest, I noticed with like with a lot of animated films when they get like kind of celebrity comedians, they do tend to like actually like lean into their comedy style. So like Ants is very like Woody Allen. I'll see Aladdin is very Robin Williams. You got Monsters Inc. Like Mike Wazowski's humor is very like Billy Crystal. So if you like Finding Nemo, I think you'll like Albert Brooks's other films, at least like the comedy in it, because there's that kind of like similar kind of like George Costanza-esque anxiety to him. But yeah, anyway, My Romance came out in 1981. It isn't Albert Brooks's first film. It's actually like one of his like he had a couple at this point, but this one's probably like one of his more like well-known ones. David, the director of the film that Robert is editing, is actually played by James L. Brooks, and I think this is kind of like where him and Albert like. I mean, I think him and Albert like knew each other. But this is like one of the reasons why like Albert got casted in broadcast news. Bob Einstein plays the sporting goods salesman. That is Albert Brooks's brother. Now you may be wondering, why does a guy named Albert Brooks have a brother named Bob Einstein? Did Bob change his last name? No, Albert changed his last name. Albert Brooks's real name is Albert Einstein. His parents had uh, a sense of humor, I guess, just like they did.
And he
Um,
changed it because he didn't want people to keep asking him if he was related. I don't know. That's what
he
my
he
parents
did
told me
he did
anyway.
he did change it for his career, yeah, because like he's like Albert Einstein's too famous. Like there can't be two. Like at that point, like oh
There could be
Only be
only one.
one.
yeah. I mean, I know with like the Screen Actors Guild, like you legit can't have like the same name as like some actors, so people have to like either spell it or have different names or whatnot. But yeah. Stanley Kubrick was a big fan of this film. Bet you didn't expect that. Kubrick apparently called Brooks after viewing the film and saying that he has always wanted to make a movie about jealousy, and he feel like Brooks kind of nailed it there. Pretty critically acclaimed. So to give a general overview of the story, Robert Cole Brooks is a Hollywood film editor, and he's working on this science fiction film for like a director, like a kind of shitty B movie, and he's in a relationship with a bank executive, and there's sort of the film sort of explores this kind of like neuroticism between like regarding his relationship, and like they also just kind of have some fun asides with his job. Again, it's very Woody Allen. Like it kind of reminds me of like a mix of like modern romance and no, I mean of Crimes and Misdemeanors and Annie Hall. There's a lot of like comedy with like you them like breaking up, talking about how they hurt each other, and then they like get back together immediately, and then like they get divorced and back together, and like it's kind
It's
of
just
like
an endless cycle.
yeah, it's very much like joking about like kind of the
Dude,
absurdity of stuff.
when I saw that like epilogue where they say they married like weeks later and then the following month they divorced, I laughed my fucking ass off.
Do you know what's funny?
Imagine how
So
imagine how
I
poetic it
always
would be if this movie ended with them at the diner where the movie started.
That would be cool.
yeah. So here's what's funny is like about like I said that I think this guy's kind of the in between of Woody Allen and Billy Crystal. So it's kind of funny is like when I watched When Harry Met like Annie Hall, Modern Romance and When Harry Met Sally is like kind of like a spiritual trilogy in my part, and they're all kind of like on a gradient. 'Cause, like with Annie Hall, like they don't end the film together, and When Harry Met Sally they end up to the film together and they're happy. And in this one there's like they end up together, but then they break up and end up together. It's like it feels kind of like perfect that that's kind of the middle ground.
Is it a happy
Um,
ending? Yes and no.
Although I've always argued that like with When Harry Met Sally, like even though it's like kind of romantic ending, I kind of feel like the ending still where they're like talking about their wedding and stuff. Like to me, it always read similar to The Graduate, where like it kind of implied that their shit wasn't gonna like work out. So I was like, but like I feel like I'm like the only one that interprets it that way. But like yeah. So what did you guys think of the movie?
I guess I'll start. I think overall, I definitely liked it. I
Yeah,
liked
I was very curious about what you thought because I know this movie is very atypical in structure, and
It
that tends to
is.
like
And
bother you.
the first half was kind of a little too long with how Albert tries to cope with the fact that he doesn't need Mary anymore, but then he's like slowly like starting to relapse. He's like, "No, I need her and I can't let anyone else have her." But like the way they handle those scenes are still like really funny. Like when he's talking with Harry on the phone and he asks how his relationship is going with Mary, and when he says like, "I'm not seeing her anymore. I broke up with her." Then Harry's like, well, you think I could go out with her? You know, and then,
I
and
was
then,
wondering if it'd be okay if I took out Beth.
but like the way like Robert like says like, no, fuck you, go live in a trash can or like whatever that. Oh my god, like you could tell like how vulnerable he was in that moment. Like that's one of the things I really like about the first half is how flawed of a character Robert is, because like he's still trying to get over the breakup, but he just can't. And the way he tries to cope with that is just so interesting to me.
I Here's the thing. During like the 70s and 80s, there were like a lot of movies like this, and I fucking like love like almost all of them. They're like they're so fucking funny, but like this one like in particular was like incredibly funny. Like I think this might be like one of the funniest ones I've seen. Like I love like this is just like a really funny movie. And like while it's a bit like kind of loose, I feel like it does kind of like keep like an interesting kind of thread throughout. And like I'd probably say like the most like odd structural thing about this is that like it is a romantic comedy, but they do just kind of have an aside with his job that kind of has nothing to do with anything else. But those asides are also really fucking funny. Like
There was the time where
we
he was
parody.
buying vitamins from the drugstore, and then the guy's like, "Okay, so you broke up with your girlfriend, so here's what you're gonna need. You're gonna need vitamin C. You're gonna need magnesium." And then it just cuts to him walking out of the store with like all these vitamins
Not
and
even a
guzzling them
second,
down.
dude. That got me. I had to go back because I'm like, wait, that didn't just happen. It seems like a perfectly cut edit you'd see in like a YouTube compilation or something.
So yeah, again, really fucking funny film, and like probably one of my favorites of this. Like, yeah, it's just like, it's really funny. I think like the statement, like it kind of says at the end, because like I feel like this movie tries to like sort of lean into like an absurdist statement on love, because like Woody Allen more has like likes to kind of like revel in kind of like the flaws of stuff and just kind of like have like explore just kind of how things kind of like don't work out. Like I feel like a lot of Woody Allen's movies, it's either like a very like bittersweet kind of like romantic but sad sort of ending, or it's like that's what I feel like a lot of his kind of like revel in, but like he really like likes to lean into like the bittersweet element of it not working out. When this one, it decides to make like it not working out sort of a punchline in of itself, kind of like and that's what I kind of like find like pretty compelling about this. Like he's kind of like it's almost like a kind of like a Coen brother take on it, where it's just kind of like mocking like the idea of it. I don't know if you've ever seen, and I'm just making this connection right now, but the Coen Brothers made this romantic comedy called Intolerable Cruelty. And I thought that one's kind of funny because that one also kind of has like a sort of back and forth relationship with like oh, I want to break up, no, I want to get back together, I want to break up, I want to get back together, that kind of thing. But like this one kind of has like the like divorce and stuff because like it was like these two people, they kind of like marry each other, but like they also kind of like don't want to like they also kinda wanna get a divorce, but, like, they still wanna stay together, but it's, like, it's this weird thing with, like, financials and stuff, and that's also kind of, like, a weird absurdist thing and, like, with prenup agreements. I was like, it's kinda, like, reminded me of that, but, yeah.
If I can interject for a second, to give my thoughts on the film. Overall, I did enjoy it. I liked Albert Brooks' performance. I thought he had great deadpan delivery, and it was very frequently funny. But my main criticism is that it kind of felt one note. Like the first half of the movie is basically Bobby continuously saying he's gonna do something, and then he turns his back on doing it. Like it's funny, but like it felt like that was like the only joke they were telling for a while. So I was like, all right, can we move past that? And then when he's actually back with Mary, it's mostly him assuming that she's cheating on him. And again, it doesn't really go any further than that. So it kind of felt like it was just telling the same two jokes over and over again.
See, I do understand that criticism, but I also think, like, thematically, it is kind of, like, about his sort of, like him being in these, like, constant cycles and, like, never changing. I feel like that is, like there's, like, thematic value there, so it didn't
Like, yeah,
bother
I
me
I
that much,
get
but,
that,
yeah,
but
yeah.
at the same time, like, I would have liked more variety. Like, that's why I really liked the scenes where he's in the editing room, because it wasn't bound to the relationship stuff. I didn't know what was gonna happen. Like, I really liked the Hulk thing. That's when he takes out also the scene when he takes out the one line. The guy's like, "Where's that line? I love that line. There's so much character in that
I'm gonna
line. Put it
project here
back."
a little bit. Those scenes hurt me because they're so true.
Yeah. I also figured you'd
Sometimes a
like those
client
scenes because
really does not know what they want. It's so fucking frustrating.
yeah, I figured you would appreciate that given, like, you do this is your job.
I know you brought up a bunch of like Woody Allen movies and Coen Brothers movies to compare this to. The most apt comparison I can bring up is that to me, this feels like a more grounded version of Better Off Dead, because it's mainly a guy going through a breakup. And I know you guys are more mixed on Better Off Dead than I am, but to go back, what I like about that movie is that while it is about Lane going through a breakup, There's so much other shit happening to break up the pace. And again, that's why I liked the editing scenes here because it took a break from that. But there
Yeah,
was only like a handful of them. So like
yeah,
again, I would have liked more variety instead of just Bobby being either obsessive
yeah.
or indecisive.
Although now that I think about, I'm trying to think like what is the thematic value of those scenes, and like since you guys like mentioned how like indecisive he is, and like and then like Lugia just mentions like yeah, clients really are like indecisive, was like I want to feel if that's kind of like an ironic parallel where like he's kind of
He knows
like
what he wants at his job, but he doesn't know what he wants for his love life.
yeah, and he like deals with
At least that was
indecisive
my
people,
takeaway.
and like yeah, I was like that's interesting kind of like parallel there. So
Because the guy says he wants the line taken out, but he's like, "Yeah, but it spoils the reveal of who is actually
And I like the line. I think it's a good line. Put it in.
so much character in it."
overall, like, it's a pretty like fun movie. I actually like not too long ago watched another kind of rom com called The Heartbreak Kid, and it kind of reminded me of that too. Where like, so that whole movie is a dude who just got married on his honeymoon. He fall in love with another woman, and like it's like, oh Jesus Christ, dude, and it's like it's got like a kind of similar like thing where like this dude, like you're like, what's wrong with this main character, man? I feel like humor wise, The Heartbreak Kid reminds me of this film the most, but, like, thematic wise, it reminds me of, like, Annie Hall when Harry Met Sally. Um,
You have any comparisons, Lugia?
Um, I guess Better Off Dead. It kind of reminded me of that a little bit without a lot of the crazier moments and the $2. I will say the second half did kind of drag a little bit for me with the relationship. Like as you said, that part of the movie is about Robert thinking that Mary's cheating on him. But I did enjoy the first half a lot. I think how they wrote
I
Robert's
do
character
think,
was
like
really well done there.
I will say, like, it did, like I did kinda crack the fuck up when, like, he started cheating because like, "Oh, it's like, I want you back, baby," and then, like, immediately he's like, "You cheating on me?" I was like, "Jesus Christ, man," like, no fucking wonder your
That just
relationship's gonna,
adds to
like,
like
fall
his
apart.
obsessive
Yeah.
behavior, like as we've seen with the Harry phone call scene. But yeah, overall, thumbs up. I enjoyed this more than I thought I would, and if you're in a constant loop of wanting to marry and then divorce and break up and make up, it might be over for you.
I mean, hey, they do stay together despite it all, kinda.
We don't know that. They could
I
still
I feel like
divorce and remarry like for God knows how
yeah,
long.
that's the implication to me, like, the fact that like, they stay together their whole lives technically, but, like, it's just constant, like, divorce and getting back together. It's just, like, a really funny idea to me where, like, it's just on and off their whole lives. Like, I don't know, Ben Affleck got back together with, like,
Think
Jennifer
of how much
Lopez.
money they have to spend just to make that happen for a lifetime's worth.
Yeah,
You guys
so
got any
like I
thoughts on it,
said, I
Jordan?
enjoyed this. I just wish there was more variety in the humor and that it wasn't just Bobby being obsessive and or indecisive. But again, I did enjoy it.
Alright. Next week,
All right.
next recommendation.
So this next movie, I haven't seen this, but I was recommended it by a friend, and it
Oh.
is a Michael Mann film, which we have not talked about in a couple of years, I think. And it
What do you mean?
also
Didn't we talk about Heat, like, not too long ago?
that was 2 years ago.
Oh.
So we're gonna go back to Michael Mann. And we're also going to come back to an actor who we haven't talked about in a long time either. Tom Cruise. Yes, that's right. For next week, we are talking about Collateral.
Alright, that is my favorite Michael Mann movie, hell yeah. I've honestly had that on my list too, so great.
Sweet.
Knock that out.
And he
When
just
was the last time we talked about Michael Mann, though? Yeah.
Heat was like January 22nd of 2022. January of 2022. I don't know the specific date though.
Damn. Alright, January 30th, yeah. It's the last day of January. Okay, cool. Collateral. Great film.
I figured why not? It was like 6 months ago when he recommended this to me, and I figured, hey, sure. When I try to gamble with Red Rock West, we really like that, and now knowing that this is your favorite Michael Mann movie, that was a good bet. So
You don't need to worry about, the pace. Pretty good pace. Alright, cool. Well, I guess I'll see you guys next week.